My people, like I said, man, you can't make this shit up. I don't think people are mad at me because I actually has wiped the crypto off of my pineal gland so I can see and be a beacon of light for my people. I think you're mad because you haven't seen and you actually want to be called a prophet. You want to be called some sort of top priest or whatever the case may be. When that's not universal law. The only thing that separates us organic beings is self-discipline. That's the only thing that separates us. We all have the knowledge of the cosmos. But here we go right here. Now remember what I told you. The North Pole is going where? Before they would say over Siberia. The North Pole is moving to Siberia. Search up countries in Siberia or around Siberia. Right there. And see what's there. The North is going back under ice.
Scientists have observed unexpected activity in the high Arctic as the magnetic North Pole moves towards Russia in an unprecedented manner. This shift has intrigued researchers worldwide.
Jamie, if you want to Google, there's a space.com article titled that in 2025, some scientists are suggesting that the Earth's ocean currents may stop. Have you heard this?
No.
Okay, and nowhere in the articles do they mention anything about pole excursion. So people need to understand that we're already in the middle of a pole excursion, which is a partial pole flip, which means that things are shifting inside the Earth.
True north compass needles point to the magnetic North Pole, which shifts due to Earth's magnetic field changes. Unlike the stationary geographic North Pole, the magnetic pole's location is dynamic. Dr. William Brown from the British Geological Survey noted that the magnetic pole moved along Canada's northern shore for centuries. In the 1990s, it drifted into the Arctic Ocean, accelerating towards Siberia. The World Magnetic Model, developed by the British Geological Survey and the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, predicts the pole's location. It aids smartphone compasses, GPS systems, and military navigation. The pole's movement results from unpredictable fluctuations in Earth's molten iron core. This churning liquid metal, located 2,000 miles below, generates the magnetic field. While exact predictions are impossible, monitoring continues through ground stations.
Because let me tell you something. Let me share something right now that you've never heard on this show before. You hear everyone talking about cosmic impact hypothesis. You hear people talking about sun cycles. Not a lot of people have been on here talking about pole shifts.
And so when something is off in one part of the world, chances are something is also off somewhere else, and why it's so important to kind of keep this as a balance, when we talk about climate and weather phenomenons.
All right, really interesting. Thanks very much.
Let me give a quick shout out to Ben Davidson of Suspicious Observers. I recommend maybe you link up with him. Nobody has researched the topic of pole shifts and sun cycles as much as him. And he brought something to my attention I had never heard before. Jamie, the very first slide that you showed was of the Gothenburg excursion. So there was a partial pole flip right in the middle. See how it dates between 13,007 and 12,003? So the Younger Dryas started 12,800 years ago. And it's right in the middle of that ballpark range. We already know, it is established science that when geomagnetic pole excursions happen, it changes weather patterns on Earth as well as the ocean current.
But Valerie, first of all, this certainly sounds unusual. Tell us why this is happening.
Well, it is a very rare weather phenomenon. The Sahara receives little to no rainfall at all every single year. And when it does rain, it's an average of 3 inches per year. And so when some parts of the region are expected to see 5 times that average, I mean, if you add that up, it sounds like it's not a lot. But in some parts, it could be years worth of rain in just a couple of days.
We're changing the currents of the ocean. I don't believe that. But hit don't allow. Don't let them take your data. Look at this. Nowhere in this article to explain why. But here's the thing. People need to understand that the number one thing that affects weather on Earth is, of course, the sun. The second thing is ocean currents.
The way it says it here, key Atlantic current could collapse soon, impacting the entire world for centuries to come.
And the reason why you shouldn't listen to these people is because they're leaving out the key data involving Earth's historical climate data. Yes. They're not including all these other details.
Right.
And so I think people need to look at pole shifts because it's very interesting in this alternative realm that you have people that are proponents of the cosmic impact hypothesis. You have Dr. Robert Schoch with the sun cycles. You have other people talking about pole shifts. I think people should consider that all the above are correct, and let me explain why. When pole shifts happen, Earth's shields are diminished. We're in the middle of a pole shift right now. The Earth's shields are diminishing, and it's been happening since the 1800s. It's been accelerating over the last few decades. This is scientific data. The North Pole is shifting at like almost 40 miles a year, when it was half that just a decade ago. And when the Earth shields diminish, we are more susceptible to cosmic impacts because less.
40 miles a year?
Google it. This is real.
Wow.
It's
I
happening.
had no idea. I thought it was feet a year.
Now, the mainstream will say, don't worry, it's still another 1,000 years away. And I'm like, they actually can't prove that because we haven't been alive to document a pole shift. But what I'm trying to say is that we should consider the pole shift thing. Brother, ask Elon Musk his thoughts on this sometime.
Well, he actually just tweeted something about it recently.
What did he say?
He tweeted something about the magnetic poles. He tweeted something about
I think he actually retweeted the
core of the Earth.
What's his face? I forget his name, but you were just shouting.
Ben Davidson?
Ben Davidson. I'm pretty sure he retweeted Ben Davidson.
Oh, we need to find that out if that's the case. Because here's the thing.
He tweets so much, though. It takes so long to
I
go
know.
through his tweets. I don't know. how
He does
has
it
the
too
time.
much. It's less effective because I'm like, I miss stuff. And I follow him closely, actually.
Jamie could find
You
it.
know,
There you go.
Yep.
Look at this.
Oh,
Was
so
evident
it's Brian
thin crust
Ramon.
of
It
solid
was Brian,
rock
sorry.
beneath which a vast ball of molten rock, Earth's core, which generates most of our magnetic field, is 85% iron and moves independently from the surface plates, which is why the magnetic pole changes position.
I love Brian Romelli. If I'm saying his name right, we follow each other. He's a great guy. I think Elon Musk is giving a hint here because you remember how the northern lights were visible as far south as Mexico recently in the last few months?
That was from solar activity, right?
Right. But the reason why it's more visible now is because the Earth shields are diminishing. This isn't like from Bob's website. This is mainstream science. Again, Ben Davidson has taught me a lot on this.
The educators want to
They
be the
can't,
only
yeah.
ones that distribute the information, and they don't want to look at the full picture. They only want to look at this one thing for the greater good of all of us. It's better if you just get people to only focus on getting an electric car.
Yep.
So the issue is that it's not like there's one explanation that could conceivably have caused this massive cataclysm. There's probably a lot of variables. Just like there's always been. I mean, we always like to conveniently ignore supervolcanoes.
You should consider the possibility that that's related to pole shifts as well.
And so I have this map here of the Sahara Desert is what you see in yellow. And so it is normally an area of permanent high pressure. And what that means is that it prevents clouds from forming and so moisture building up. And that is what keeps the desert dry. And it sits right above this red line that you can see there. It's called the Intertropical Convergence Zone. And this area is actually very humid across this red line. Very prone to heavy rain. And so usually areas characterized by very lush vegetation. And so what's happening now with this unusual weather pattern is that zone, that red line, is actually moving north. And as that moves north, it's actually bringing rain to areas where usually you don't see rain at all. So we know that convergence zone is actually moving 152 miles further north into the Sahara. And air over North Africa is now holding 3 to 4 times more moisture than usual, causing rainfall.
And might this cause problems, Valerie, far beyond the Sahara itself?
Well, I mean, if you think rain over parched land, that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Well, actually, it could bring pockets of flooding to places like Chad, Libya, Niger, and Algeria, and that is because sand dunes are not able to hold excess runoff. When the ground is really dry, it's almost like a hard surface, and so it can't absorb water, and that can, lead to flash floods, and that's what you were seeing now.
So first and foremost, my people, if you even look at how she was trying to explain this, you can hear the nervousness in her voice and how she was mumbling over certain words, and how it wasn't very clear and concise because she didn't want to, she's telling the truth, partial of the truth, that this right here is catastrophic. Catastrophic. And it's nothing that they can do about it. Man, it's like, man, you can't make this shit up. Kalab been saying this shit. But the North is going back on the ice. Abundance and gratitude to you all. Understand and overstand, my people. Keep thinking that this 2025, this is the countdown. Abundance and gratitude.